Hey guys, today we're going to be showing you how to make cake pops inspired by Toy Story 4, so stay tuned.
Okay, we're going to get started. You can choose any flavor of cake you want. We love yellow cake, and we always use cream cheese frosting, but we've done red velvet before and strawberry and chocolate, and any of it works. So just choose what flavor you like the best and bake your cake. Okay, when I'm making my cake pops, I always scoop out the center of the cake and leave the edges just so I don't have hard little chunks of cake in my cake pops. It makes them a lot smoother. Okay, so for a whole cake, I usually do about 2 scoops of frosting just with a spoon. I never measured it, but if you do too much frosting, your cake pops won't stick together and they'll fall apart. So start with little bits and add it as needed. Okay, after you get your cake and frosting into the bowl, you just mix it up. Okay, so when you're done mixing, your cake pop dough, it kind of reminds me of cookie dough in its consistency. If you don't add enough frosting, it'll crumple and fall apart. But if you add too much frosting, it'll be too soft to set on a stick very well. So if it holds its shape and doesn't really melt, that's usually a good consistency. Okay, the next step you need to do is just take a square of almond bark and we're going to melt it in the microwave. I usually do it in 30-second increments until it's smooth. And you're just going to put a little drop of this on the inside of the spork to keep your cake pop secured in place. Alright, once your almond bark is melted, just take your spork and add a little bit of your almond bark there, just so that it will hold our cake pop dough or batter in place. And you can play around with sizes. This is probably a little more than a tablespoon. I'm just going to set it on the face of the spork, kind of press it down, and I'm just going to wait for the almond bark to set. Okay, while you're waiting for your cake pops to set in the spork, you can start working on Forky's hands and arms. So we just use Twizzlers, what are these called? Pull and peels. And I thought when I made them last time, a whole strip was almost a little too long for his arms, so I ended up doing like 3/4 of it, and then I used these to make his hands. While you're doing your fingers and arms also, just cut a little strip off to be Forky's eyebrow, and you can do all different shapes with his eyebrow. Sometimes it's like an upside down V when he's stressed, or it's curved when he's smiling. So depending on how you want to make his mouth, you can do a few different shapes for his eyebrows. Alright, we're still waiting for the cake pops to set up a little bit more, so you can start working on Forky's feet. We use Milano Cookies, and when I made it, I found it was too long to do the whole cookie, so I actually ended up cutting it in half and then into fourths, so you could get 2 sets of feet out of each cookie if you're lucky, because these cookies crack a lot when you're cutting them. So I'd plan on buying extra just in case, and I'll also use a serrated knife and kind of saw at it instead of trying to just press it down, just so that, because they're so delicate that they just crumble. So okay, you don't have to put this in, but that's amazing that it cut like that. Okay. Well, I didn't think I was lying, because that was too easy. Okay, so there's a set. Alright, this is a little extra. If you want to do it, you can get the edible decorating pens and write Bonnie's name on the bottom of Forky's feet. So on his left foot, she has B-O-N. And then on the other side, she has N-I-E. and those will go on the bottom. So you won't see that when you're looking at the pop, but just a little extra fun touch. Okay, so once you've done your arms and fingers and feet, your cake pops are probably set up, so it should stay on the spork. So now we're gonna go ahead and dunk the top half of Forky into almond bark. So go ahead and melt some more white almond bark in the microwave and get ready to dunk Forky's head. Okay, once your almond bark is melted, just stir it up, make sure it's nice and smooth. The hotter it is, the better, because if it's too thick and chunky, it's just really hard to dip. So don't burn it, but try to make sure it's nice and smooth. And I found that it's easiest to use almond bark when doing this. Melting chips are, sorry, that was bad. Melting chips also work. White chocolate tastes really good, but it's really hard to work with, so I wouldn't recommend doing that for your first try. So once you have it melted, just take your cake pop on your spork and dunk it right in, and make sure all the cake gets covered. And then I just tap all the excess almond bark off, and then you can just set it down. Okay, after you dunk Forky's head, just get ready to do his face right away so you can put all the pieces right in the soft almond bark so it'll stick. So we were lucky and found these eyes at Walmart in the Halloween department. So you can totally do the same size eyes if you can't find a mix, but we were lucky to find different sizes. Put his eyebrow on. When we made these the first time for his mouth, we used, it was called sour silly spaghetti, and it was just little strips of just like the cherry ropes but in different colors, and we weren't able to find it this time, so Forky's mouth is going to be Fruit Loops, and so he's going to have the same expression. So if you're wanting to do a Forky that's smiling or a different expression, some other ideas we had were maybe if you can find the sour spaghetti, that would be great, or we thought if you got the blue Laffy Taffy ropes and roll them really thin, then you could shape them into whatever shape for his mouth that you want. But I think the Fruit Loops look cute and it works. So we'll finish with his face. When it's dry, we'll go add the rosy cheeks after that. Okay, so for the base of Forky, where Bonnie uses like a Play-Doh or a mold, we tried to think of different things we could use. You could use fondant. I just don't think it's very yummy, so we decided to do Rice Krispie treats. You can do whatever works for you. So we ended up making our own, but you could easily just buy the pre-made Rice Krispie treats at the store and just cut a little triangle for the base of Forky. If you make it from home, make sure you have it really condensed so that it won't fall apart, so that when you're stabbing the spork down into it, it doesn't just fall apart, and you want it to stay and hold its shape. I tried just pushing the base of the spork in and it made it fall apart, so it helps if you make a little groove with your knife just to get your spork started. And I keep my fingers on either side so it doesn't fall apart, and then just push your spork down further in. And then once you have your hold, pull it back out, do a little drop of melted almond bark and slide it back in, and then pinch it to set up. Okay, once your Rice Krispie has set and is attached to the bottom of the spork, you can just dunk it in the same almond bark and then tap off the extra and let it harden. I also don't attach the feet yet because they'll just slide right off. So wait for your almond bark to harden, and then you can just add a little dot of almond bark on each side and hold the feet on until it dries to keep the feet from sliding around too much. Alright, for Forky's arms, you just take your piece of licorice rope, and I found it's easiest to get it to stay in place just to tie it in the back. And then all you have to do is press his hands on each side, and his arms are good to go. For his feet, just take a little bit more of your almond bark, and it's just going to act as the glue, and add a dot on each side where you want his popsicle stick feet. make sure if you wrote Bonnie's name that you have that side down so that you'll be able to see it when it's pasted on. And just hold it there until it sets. For the last step, we're just going to do Forky's cheeks, and you can use the red pen from your decorating set. I just thought it made it a little too bright, so I ended up using just a drop of food coloring and a Q-tip, and try to spread it around a little bit before you put it right on the almond bark, just so it's a little more muted and pink instead of red. And then you can just do his rosy cheeks. Forky. Can you say Forky? Oh, did you read his eyebrows?